Welcome to episode 1 of George and Charlie Off the Bridle. That's George Scott.
Hi there.
And Charlie Fellows.
Hello.
We are sat in the King's Head pub in Dullingham. We've done a little bit of research on where you should record a podcast, and a lot of people do it with a drink in their hand. So I've got a nice glass of red wine, George has got a Bloody Mary, and for the next 40 minutes or so we're going to put the world to rights on everything that's going on in racing.
Yeah, fortunately we've got Tony Rushmer here as well, who has been a great friend of mine since our Cecil days, and he's going to be there putting us together and also keeping us apart over the next, from here on in really.
Yes, we're going to be here for hopefully the rest of the season, on and off, maybe every couple of weeks if you're unlucky, talking through all the big issues, all the big races, and giving you an insight into the wacky world of Fellows and Scott, not to mention their crazy bet, which is coming up in the show. Let's just say George paid out for a long liquid lunch in London yesterday. More of that and on. I think we've got to start with what's grabbing all of our attention, the prize money ARC issue. Charlie, George, you've both got strong opinions on it. I don't know which one of you wants to sound off first. It's normally Fellows blasts, isn't it, or Fellows slams? So we better start with you.
It's George just nodded his head at me, teeing me up because he knows that I'm going to go in. Look, this is an issue that has been going on for years and years and years. But I think George and I were both at the NTF meeting yesterday, and I think both of us would agree that the strength of feeling behind this movement that's sort of really started to gain momentum in the last fortnight is pretty strong. I mean, trainers feel aggrieved, not just trainers, owners as well, jockeys, and we are pretty sick of feeling like we are getting the rough end of this deal. And what I think our point is that we provide the horses, we provide the entertainment, we put in unbelievable graft through us, through the jockeys, through the stable lads, through everyone, and yet we are the people that are the least rewarded. And you have people and race courses and bookmakers who are making millions and millions of pounds in profit, and it's just not filtering down to the people at the bottom who basically this industry wouldn't exist if we weren't there. There is, we don't call it a boycott, but I for one have decided that I'm not going to run my horse at ARC tracks if I don't feel the prize money is good enough. Now I want to give an example on the other side. Yesterday I had a runner at an ARC track. Not ashamed to admit that. But the race was a 25 grand 0 to 95 handicap. It's great prize money.
Did you win it or not?
No. No, George, thank you very much. I did not win it. I got well and truly put in my place by Mick Appleby, whose horse is clearly improving.
Were you second?
No. I didn't even finish second, sadly. You know fully well where I finished.
I can't remember. We'd had a bottle of wine by then.
We watched it together. Finished third. She ran well. But it was a 25 grand race. You know, it's good prize money. And, we've got to run for that. And we've got to, when tracks, especially ARC, put that kind of prize money up, then we should support them.
So are you going to boycott them or not then?
I am. Yeah. Well, next week, the meetings that are going through next week, the prize money is awful. So I won't enter my horses.
And when we're saying next week, that's Wednesday.
There's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
6th, 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we had a really... What's so exciting about this is that unlike many of the past attempts, the owners and trainers are really getting behind this. And actually what's really cool is it's not just the owners, not just the trainers. The owners are quite clearly the ones that are going to be feeling the pinch the most. And anyone that we've had anything to do with has been particularly supportive. And that we're gaining some momentum, and we are going to boycott those 3 days racing, 6th, 7th and 8th of the ARC tracks, because it has just got to the point now when it's just unfeasible to take horses to the races. And that's if they're winning at the races,
So was that you boys that have spoken to all your owners and pretty much got unanimous backing then, or what?
If I'm completely honest with you, I haven't even given my owners a choice. I haven't said to my owners if there's a possible race at the tracks next week that might suit their horse. I've very clearly come out on Twitter and said I will not be running my horses in any race that I don't think the prize money is up to it. At the same time, I will be supporting those tracks and those races that I feel are, put up good prize money. And hence we went all the way to Newcastle for the race yesterday. Hence got entries at Chelmsford on Saturday. And then again, Chelmsford, God, they deserve a lot of credit. They are brilliant. And Fred Dunn has been phenomenal because the prize money that they have put up there puts everyone else to shame. We shouldn't be supporting the tracks where the prize money is crap. But on the other side, it's down to us to support those races where the prize money is good. And I feel we don't do that well enough either. I feel that if you look at the field sizes at Chelmsford, they could be better and they should have full fields for every single race. I don't get ARC's position because it's so short-sighted. And maybe they don't see themselves in it for the long run. Maybe they don't, but it's to everyone's benefit that prize money is good. Because if prize money is good, field sizes increase. If field sizes have increased, that means that there are more owners coming into the industry because they can afford to pay for their horses. And that has got to be beneficial to everyone. It's got to be beneficial to trainers, it's got to be beneficial to bookmakers, it's got to be beneficial to race courses.
Where we go on from here, I'm not sure. But I think, that's probably going to be something for various committees and everyone to discuss. But for the time being, it's just really important that as trainers, we all stick together. And unfortunately, there's always going to be a couple of trainers or owners that are going to be in this for a quick buck. There are going to be little prize money opportunities over those days that we try to boycott. But, it's hugely disappointing that we're seeing a few people against the run here. And I, for one, see it as being tremendously short-sighted and disappointing. So fingers crossed that we can pull together and we can resolve it.
I'm going to take us from a prize money crisis to the other end of the spectrum, to Dubai, the World Cup Carnival. I had a look. You boys have, and your connections have had a right royal time, haven't you? I noticed that...
Well, I thought I was going to be the star of the show. I got in there with a winner, and my fellows was even there at the meeting to sort of come over and celebrate. A big sour head on him.
It absolutely killed me.
Ate him alive. So I thought it was my moment to shine. I took him out for dinner. I think he paid for his dinner, and I sort of consoling him. And
just to explain, another bat started the year on fire for George. Wins, I think, over 80 grand for connections on January the 3rd at Meydan. And then George hot-footed it to the UAE at the end of January, expecting for further glory and again to be in the spotlight. But Fellow's progressive 4-year-old, who we will talk about a bit more at length because he shows the ups and downs of racing, goes and wins on the night. And another bat, George's horse, it wasn't sighted that night, or should we say wasn't in the first three. But so that was, Fellows stealing the show. And as Charlie's subsequently gone on to finish second in the Balanchine, wasn't it, with Mir Tesora at 50 to 1, another payday. So I think if we can just talk about just what an opportunity it is for horsemen at the start of the year to go over there with great prizes. I mean, that was 0 to 110, was it, another bat?
It was 95 and up, but similar bracket. But great fun, great, wonderful trip to Dubai. It's evolving the whole time. It's hard to win out there.
He's a pretty special horse, another bat. I mean, to stand your training and still win races he's won.
5 races.
It's remarkable.
No, he is. He's an extraordinary horse, and he actually, funnily enough, I know Charlie was trying to be funny there, but he is an extraordinary horse because he's got no pedigree. He's not overly big. And he's a bizarre little thing. Like he likes living in the field, but he is tough as teak. Admittedly, I've been running him over the wrong trip in his last couple of starts. I've been running him over 6. He's been under the cosh the whole way. But those are the races that he's been picking on prize money in. And we're just trying to pick up checks. You see the 7 furlong race last night at Meydan, last Thursday. It's Godolphin 1, 2, 3, and they're so hard to beat out there.
This is the problem. This is the only problem. Dubai is great. Dubai is fantastic. Like, the prize money is brilliant. Escalator won the same amount for winning his handicap as he would have won for the winning the Lincoln if he'd waited for the Spring, and he was favourite for the Lincoln, or one of the favourites for the Lincoln.
More. The Lincoln's only worth 65 grand.
Something like that. But it's the problem is that it's starting to get, when you look at the races and there's 6 horses owned by Godolphin, 3 trained by Charlie, 3 trained by Saeed, and they're having 3 or 4 winners every night, it puts people off coming over. And I just worry they've got to be really careful about, this. It's called the Dubai International Carnival, and they are just flirting with it not being as international as it was before. And I think there's a lot of trainers that think twice about going over there now. I'm not going to. I love it. It's great. We've had 2 unbelievably successful years, and Prince of Aaron's going to fly out on Saturday and go over there for the last.
How did he work
2.
this morning? Good?
He worked all right. He worked this morning with one of David Simcock's horses, Desert Encounter, and they worked nicely. We had a lead horse, yeah.
I saw him pottering up to the gallops, actually, past my yard, and I drove past with my phone out the window filming him, and the lad looked very confused. Yeah. Your lad looked very confused, like sort of paparazzi or something.
He did it. I don't think he knew what on earth you were doing.
No, but I was just filming him for your benefit.
Yeah.
Is Cocky's horse going for the same race?
I think so, yeah.
So you could actually...
Well, who won?
Be up against, how did the gallop go?
I'd say Desert Encounter went better.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Probably a better horse.
I think they're both rated almost exactly the same.
I'd back Desert Encounter.
Yeah. But...
Doing well not to rise to that there.
No,
well, he knows.
Plenty of
You went out
experience.
to Australia running and sort of picked up a sort of...
The Melbourne Cup. Yes, probably one of the biggest races in the world.
Tin pot.
You want to win the Derby, you want to win the Oaks, you want to win the Guineas, you want to win a Breeders' Cup, or you want to win a Melbourne Cup.
No,
yeah,
I'd put that 5th on the list.
Sorry?
I'd put that 5th
It's
on the list.
5th of like thousands, so...
Debatable.
Anyway, we can talk about that later. I'll talk about that all day long.
You're the one who publicly went on record slagging Australian racing off. Extraordinary outburst.
Hold on. If you look at the race that Winks is running in this weekend, then you can see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but that's an example. I mean, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
I'm not. I'm just... What I said was very, very, very fair. And that is that over a mile, they have no strength in depth, which is true, and the Aussies would agree with you. And under a mile, they are very, very good, and they're the best trainers in the world.
But why are they
the good
the
old
best
Racing
trainers?
Post, the good old Racing Post came out with a nice big headline: "Fellow slams Australian racing."
I was going to say, I thought
suddenly I look like a mug. Which is,
I was going to say, I thought you'd taken on a double-barrel surname, because every time I read a story that features you, it's Fellow Slams. So I suddenly thought you were now Charlie Fellow Slams. Every story.
Well, it's normally
slam anything.
I'm surprised they didn't put the Honourable Charlie Fellow slams Australian racing.
They would as well.
But that is interesting. The Winks thing today, the Winks race. What Charlie spent time in Australia. I unfortunately haven't, but she takes on 4 or 5 of her stable mates plus one other rag.
It's crap.
But that wouldn't be a reflection of the racing. It's probably more of a reflection. But I am actually into this Winks story a little bit, because she's quite clearly an extraordinary filly. There's no doubt about it. But I think we all would have loved to have seen her come over here or travel to America.
But a question to you: if she was yours, would you have gone abroad?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I can categorically tell you now, I would.
You would, yeah.
What's the point? What she's achieved in Australia is remarkable. She is clearly an amazing mare, and I'm not taking anything away from that. And whatever anyone says, she has beaten a lot of very good horses as well. But in order to prove yourself, and I'm slightly treading on thin ice.
Well, you and Matt Chapman.
In order to prove yourself and to be the best horse in the world, I think you've got to go outside of Australia.
Yeah, no, well, you do. You have to. There's no doubt. Well, but the
Aussies will turn around and say, well, you guys all said Frankel was the best horse in the world, and he never went out of Britain. But horses that Frankel was beating, and not just beating, but beating by like 10 lengths. Things like Acceleration, who would have won a hatful of Group 1s if he hadn't bumped into Frankel. Yeah, he was
St Nicholas
beating.
Abbey.
Yeah,
Good old Finn horse.
He was beating.
Who did he
far
beat at
from
Far?
horses.
That was
Far,
awesome.
who then went and did exceptional things a year later when Franco wasn't around. And I just think it's a shame because they've had their chance.
Yeah.
They could have brought her over here. Australia doesn't clash. We've seen good Australian horses come over here. Look at what Black Caviar did.
Well, she just got away with it, didn't she?
Yeah.
The reports were, I saw her in the paddock beforehand. She really looked sick as a dog. She did extraordinarily well to fall over the line and win it. And I think maybe that was a bit of a... We've seen them come and do it, but we've also seen them not do it, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's a shame.
But
It's a shame.
it doesn't look like she's going to travel outside, which is a real shame. It's a shame for racing because imagine getting her and Almond Eye in the same race together. Sadly, I don't think you can put an Able in there because I just don't think the trips would work out. But
So what...
it's a crap race this weekend, though.
Your races?
No.
Oh,
Winx.
Winx, yeah. So your Prince of Aaron is... Do you have any idea what you might be running against in Dubai?
Apart from Desert Encounter, no, I don't actually.
Oh, I
do.
Crowned Eagle.
Yeah, exactly.
Crowned Eagle of
Crowned
XLs
Eagle,
who own another bat.
Yeah. So those three, they're all flying out there on Sunday, and they run the following Saturday.
You going out?
I'm gonna probably fly out Wednesday night. I
Business
think.
class, or will you go business class?
It depends on how happy Saeed Abeda's feeling. If he's feeling particularly happy with me,
Suggest that you
maybe
don't need
after
to go
my.
business class.
I'm very tall, George. I can't fit in those small seats at the back there. I need a bit of
Bloody
leg room.
expensive, though.
But just to keep for you two from fighting one another, if we move back on to finish off on Dubai, obviously Escalator, just update us on kind of that to me epitomised the highs and lows of racing. He's gone out there, won his race, looked and you were training for the Zabil Mile, am I right?
Yeah.
And then he suffers his setback. That's a hammer blow.
It was
isn't
even
for any
more.
trainer.
It was even more than that because Escalator obviously won the handicap, and he's a funny horse because he doesn't show you a huge amount at home. So I've got to be honest, I've never really known how good he was, but he's continued every time we've stepped him up. He's continued to come forward, and he was pretty impressive when he won the handicap at Meydan, and then. 2 weeks later, like 2 weeks after the race, he came back from a routine piece of work. He was fine. And the next morning, actually, the story really goes, that night, it was a Thursday, so he worked Thursday morning. Thursday night, Mia Tesoro ran. Now, Mia Tesoro has been in my yard for 3 years. As a trainer, she is probably my greatest success story because she came rated 57. And she's now a stakes winner. And we'd been trying to get some group placing with her for quite a few starts now. And she kept on sort of hitting the post, or things went wrong. She ran at Newmarket and she got no cover. And so we then hatched the plan of going to Dubai. And she ran really disappointingly first time out. We then... What are you doing?
Well, I just waxing on and on.
George is looking at me like he's falling asleep.
We wanted to talk about Mia Tesoro, as you have pointed out on social media
Anyway,
many times. She's been an amazing success story.
Yeah,
Started
rated 57,
now
yeah.
rated 100.
Anyway, she
We're
got
talking
group
about
placing that
Prince of
night.
Aaron's injury.
Not Prince of Aaron.
Escalator's
I would
injury.
put on record Prince of Aaron is absolutely fine. So Mia Tesoro finally finished his second in the group 2 that night. We all wake up the next morning, should be celebrating. All the lads back in the yard. I was back in England. Didn't go out like George has every single time.
They're not going to be going dancing around the town for finishing second, are they, in any race?
Just everyone should, in that you know what it's like. You have a big result. They all come in the morning happy, and instead,
no,
in a group 2, you don't. You haven't finished second in many group 2s, have you?
No, I've won one though. I've been finishing second in group 1.
You're quick on that one. There you go. And obviously, everyone, news broke that he'd done an injury and is going to be out for at least a year. And you're back to square one again. And
it's a shame. All jokes aside, he's been a wonderful horse for you.
Every high,
it really is a shame.
Every high is followed by a low pretty quickly afterwards, and you just got to. It reminds you that you got to enjoy the good times because they, what is it, 90% winning or 80% sort of finishing beaten and 20% winning. So enjoy that 20%.
Beaten favourite.
You don't strike at 20%, mate. You're about sort of 12% winning. Yeah,
Stop it. I did notice on Fellows Twitter.
You're not Archie Watson.
That was with Intrepidly. He runs. Was he 11-4 favourite? he gets beat, and
Don't
then the
get
following
him
morning,
started on-
you received a rather pleasant email outlining that something along the lines of the horse wish he suffered an injury.
Yeah.
Is that something that occurs regularly? If you get one beaten, do you get punters ringing you, corresponding with you?
Have you had any of those, George?
Hate mail,
You're probably
for
too
better
good a
phrase.
trainer.
No, I'm too low profile. No, I haven't had any actually. Have
you not?
Certain people seem to.
George's horses don't disappoint.
Jamie Osmond.
They're not expected.
Get one every morning.
No one backs George's horses, so they don't have sour
Well,
grapes.
to be fair, it was. No, we don't get them, but they seem to be becoming more frequent. I guess it's because those trainers are a bit more accessible. It makes absolutely no difference to me whatsoever what people say in that regard, and I know the same for.
I think I've had one email previously, and I remember when I was an assistant with James Fanshawe that I remember someone leaving a voicemail on his office phone or something like that. And it's just, as completely like George, it has absolutely no effect on me whatsoever. And it's just someone talking through their pocket. But it's not nice. And if the owners see that, it's not particularly nice to see someone publicly wishing that their horse had done a tendon and been put down. And, I don't mind being called a shit trainer. I've been called a lot worse, and he's probably not a million miles away from the truth. So, that's slightly water of a duck's back. But it's just so unnecessary. Like, come on, mate. He's probably lost £2.50 each way on a horse and has had a couple of stellar.
We had a few drinks, yeah.
Talking about having a few drinks, you two made out that you were having long, drawn-out discussions on the subject of prize money in London yesterday. But someone tells me that you were in some swanky London restaurant for most of the day, living the life of what we imagine trainers to live.
Well, we went to the trainers' AGM, and then unfortunately we struck a bet at the beginning of last year about prize money and who could have the most. We're similar stages in our career. Charlie's been training for 2 years longer than me, so he's got a pretty severe advantage.
Can I just put in a little bit? I just want to put in a little bit of background on it. No, just a little bit of background.
2 years longer than me,
I
and have more horses than me, and have
I think numbers were absolutely. I had more older horses.
You had more.
But anyone who knows George well will know that George has got a little bit of an ego. He's quite pleased with himself.
That's not fair.
And so
pleased with myself.
And so I remember it so well. I was on the Heath last year, and I was just happily minding my own business, watching my horses. George sidles up.
Probably said something
like,
stupid.
Mate,
complain.
I think we should have a bet this year. I think we should have a bet. I bet you that I have more winners than you and more prize money. And so I obviously, poker face comes down. Inside, I'm thinking, what an idiot. He's got no chance. But outside, I'm clearly very straight-faced. Oh, I don't know about that, George. Maybe. My older horses aren't very good, but he might be all right. Anyway, lull him into a full sense of security. Obviously,
the bet was dinner, a dinner and a lunch for each division.
Yeah.
So yesterday, anyway, needless to say, we don't need to dwell on the fact that he did beat me. So you beat me by.
Can we just have a look at figures?
You beat me.
Shall we have a look at
got
figures?
his laptop here.
Shall we have a look?
That's why
it's like out of the ice.
That is why the laptop is here.
And it's in a pillowcase. It's in an old pillowcase.
Just for the audience, which is probably.
We don't need to go into detail.
Just for the audience, which is probably my mum and your mum. Let's just have a quick look at. So last year, George had 19 winners and £240,000 in prize money.
In England, yeah.
£240,000 in prize money. And I'm afraid our competition was dead.
The Honourable.
Quite a long way.
The Honourable.
Charlie Fellows. Disappointed, actually. My winners number, I was a bit disappointed with 25 winners, but still 6 clear. But the prize money, George, talk me through the prize money.
No, a lot. Is it double?
It was, yes, pretty much double.
But what's interesting is I was very, very disappointed with my season on the whole. And I'm really looking forward to this season. And that I was only 6 winners behind him. And he is proclaiming that he's the next John Gosden. And is so overwhelmed and so happy with his season. But he only beat me that was depressed with such a bad season by 6 winners. This year we go again.
Do you think you can improve on your 10% strike rate last year?
It's a low blow. It's a low blow. Considering I was at 19% the year before. No, 10%'s poor by anyone's standards. But we've had some wonderful moments last year. We won some nice races. James Garfield sent a stallion to stud, which is fantastic. You know, we've only just started training. We produced one of the best young horses in the last couple of years, and
You got a breeding, right?
yeah.
Have you? Mm-hmm. Nice. Have you got a mare?
Yeah, I'm on the lookout.
Right.
I haven't got one myself, but I've got.
That is, I'm being genuinely serious. That is really nice. That's going to be great fun.
You know, as I said to you're sort of you are producing black type, but I'm producing stallions. At the end of the day, you know, you rang me all cocky the other day, and that's what I said to him.
Stallion.
He said, I said he's producing the odd bit of black type, and I'm producing stallions. And that's
Don't
what's
put an S on the end. Single stallion.
Stallion. I've produced a stallion already.
Right, that's better.
Admittedly, we've got to improve. Anyway, so we went for lunch yesterday, and hence why this is a bit of a drawn-out process, because we chatted for 6 hours yesterday at lunch, and we had a nice time. Frankie popped in for a drink.
6 hours. 6 hours.
It was quite
About
a lot.
that, yeah.
That's a lot. So it was a bloody good lunch.
Well, I was ready.
You made sure it was a bloody good
I
lunch.
was ready for heading home, and I was literally finished, and he said, "We'll get another bottle of wine, will we?" I was like, "Oh, go on then."
Well, obviously.
Anyway, so
You
it
got
cost
away
me.
with it. It was meant to be lunch and dinner.
It cost me.
You got away.
No, but I
without
tell you
any
what, it
dinner.
cost me. It cost me. It was an expensive lunch, and then on my way home, I was on the phone. I think I'm calling the wife, saying I'll be home. Put my iPad. Pissed. Put my new 1,200 quid iPad down on the fire thing outside the Ritz. Walked around for a second. Got on the train. Left my iPad. So it actually cost me 1,500 quid lunch. Which is
George is a bit of a lightweight as well, which is.
well, it's good fun, isn't it?
Any other business, chaps, before we draw to a conclusion with our
You got
first
runners?
efforts?
Runners?
Running
Runners?
plans?
Yeah, I'm quiet. We actually run in the same race, which will have been by the time it's made and not very exciting. But I'm looking forward to next Saturday. I'm going to possibly run Gilgamesh, who's been a good old stalwart for me.
March the 9th.
March the 9th. He's
So where does he run?
either Wolverhampton or Kempton. He's left a bit on the table. I've left a bit on the table with him, and then, you know, hopefully we'll get it right this year. And then a really nice new recruit, a horse called Storm Over, who came from Robert Cowes, and he'll get started. But my main race for him's on Lincoln Day, and this will be a prep run. But I think he'd be a horse that might be able to contribute somewhere along the lines. Charlie's actually had quite a lot of runners. You've had a few runners this year, haven't you? I haven't really got started yet.
Keep on hitting the bloody post.
You
which
have
is very annoying.
Yeah, no, it's handy that. And we do have a lot of this thing where I do watch all of his runners, and he watches all of my runners. And ultimately, I want to see him do well, but I much prefer to see him win an international.
I hang on to every single runner of yours' tail.
I know.
There is
You're
not
about
a single
16
runner
stone.
of yours that I want to see win.
I know.
And I'd happily admit
I know.
that. Apart from when they're abroad and it's not contributing to,
Yeah, and that's fine.
to our competition.
Yeah, it's
In which
pretty
case,
competitive.
I'm delated for you.
It is pretty competitive.
Runners, Charlie, what have we got?
Actually, do you know what? I'm actually quite quiet. Philly having its third start at Chelmsford on Saturday. I'd say she's going to be better in handicaps. One entered on Tuesday that's going to struggle to get in. Another colt having a third run on Wednesday, and again his life probably is going to be he's going to be more competitive in handicaps. So no, I'm actually pretty quiet next week, and then obviously off to Dubai next weekend.
So you'll ship out on the Friday yourself, and the horse will have gone, obviously.
I'm going to go over Wednesday night because he will do a piece of work, or he'll have a small blow Thursday morning, which I'd quite like to see if I can.
Where are you staying? Do you know? Maidan.
Maidan.
Nice.
Maidan, I think. Yeah.
It is wonderful to break up the winter out there. You know, it's been a great fun winter. I'm kind of done with it. We had 5 trips to Dubai and 2 trips to Qatar. We had a nice winter in Qatar as well, which was good. What's
Qatar like?
Well, it's quiet. I mean, it's a lovely place, and it's obviously an up and coming place. The track's fantastic. They look after you so well. It's all paid for. Whereas Dubai ends up being quite an expensive trip, doesn't it? If you were a normal owner sending a horse out there and not picking up any prize money, it racks up.
Everything's paid for when you go to Qatar.
Every single thing.
Really?
They pay two trainers.
Shipping.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
You don't pay. You pay your entry fee, which is 1% of the purse.
Yeah.
So you might end up paying 500 quid.
Yeah.
Other than that, every single blade of everything's paid for.
Where is
Fantastic.
Qatar at in terms of its development? Have they got designs on, becoming a second Maidan going forward? I mean, are they really ambitious?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're ambitious in everything they're doing. I mean, they're obviously hosting the next World Cup there, and they love their sport. I don't think they're kind of pushing quite as quickly forward as they might have looked like they were a couple of years ago for whatever reason. But I think the football's a big thing there at the moment. They've just won the Asian Cup. Is it?
Was that right?
Was it the Asian Cup? Did you not see
Wow.
that?
No, I didn't see
Oh, you
it.
didn't see that? They won the
well,
Asian Cup. It's huge. I mean, it shut the country down. It's unbelievable. And now, they're heading up the World Cup, and it's going to be a fantastic World Cup out there.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do. I think they're going to. The work they're doing is fantastic, and
They're not short of cash, are they? So
plenty of cash. Nice people.
On football on a much more smaller level, or certainly not on an international level, your football team, Forest, and my football team, Norwich, are both flying reasonably high in the Championship. What do you think will... do you think it could just sneak into a playoff spot under Martin O'Neill?
I keep on thinking that your team are going to slip up.
Everyone thinks they are.
Because I thought they were going to be one of those teams that were going to fly high for the first half of the season and then fall off the edge of a cliff. And it's remarkable what they've done. And they are playing seriously good football, and they keep on putting in the results every time. What do I think about my team? I was worried when Martin O'Neill was made manager. I just thought he was a little bit old school for the Championship. But I am happy to say I think I am wrong. I've been really impressed with us. He's really tightened up our defence, which looked really weak in the first half of the season. And we now look solid. And I watched the Derby game the other day, and Derby are a good team, and they didn't have a sniff. We could have won it by more than a goal. So and we should have won. We've been really unlucky. We should have won our two before that. We got Preston away and West Brom, which we genuinely should have won. We had
that was outrageous,
bad refereeing decisions against us. The penalty against us was atrocious, and then we should have got a penalty at the other end. Yeah. So
you go quite.
We were robbed. Yeah, I have
to get your club below owners.
I have an owner who has a box at Forest.
Very nice.
And he's a great guy, and has a few.
What's his name?
Joe Soiser.
Oh yeah, I was messaging him a bit.
I haven't heard you talk much about football until today, George.
No, I like Nottingham Forest, Joe.
Really? Which team?
No, I love my football. I train for a couple of footballers, and I enjoy watching them. But I don't have a specific team. But I do. I quite get involved. Enjoy watching the managers and the spats. It's quite amazing. Really.
I do think our sport is, until this very podcast, in fact, a little bit boring. I do think trainers should speak out a bit more. I mean, half the interest, as you just said, was how the managers conduct themselves and what happens in and around games. Whereas I think trainers, I sort of get a bit bored when I hear them all saying, "Oh, he's a nice horse, we'll put him away now," or we'll wait to see what the handicapper does. It's all a little bit dull.
I think they're really worried about what
perception
they get. What they say. I think trainers are very worried about what owners think they say, and I think they just feel like they have to be very careful, especially on TV. If they say this horse is crap, he's not going to go down very well with.
Well, I quite like the way Mark Johnson speaks his mind. I quite like the way once or twice. It might not be politically correct, but a couple of times Jeremy Nacida has said things maybe he might regret. And I sometimes think that actually it adds a bit of interest when you get a row. The point I'm trying to make is our sport not as interesting as it could be because we don't actually hear the truth in terms of what the horsemen always think. And I quite like it when guys do come out with a bit of candour and share their opinions in the way that football managers do after 90 minutes.
I think you'll find that will change. I think a lot of the older trainers are not so media savvy. They're not so keen on speaking to the media and being as open. Whereas I think you'll find that the younger trainers coming through get that there is a wider world out there that we have to broadcast.
Entertainment industry, someone?
Exactly. Exactly.
Hugo's been good. Hugo's quite outspoken, and actually, you're becoming more outspoken as you get older. You're never. Every time you
bit of praise
rant
for fellows.
You rant on Twitter. You use Twitter as a way of ranting or promoting Nottingham Forest.
I mean, coming from you targeted poor Gay Kellaway the other day. That was
no, but Gay started that. She was complete. I'm hoping it was all tongue in cheek. So it certainly was from me. But Gay started that.
On that note, are you going to compete against her and Richard Spencer and? Because there's
that's all a bit
trainers
mythical. That trainers race. Yeah, I mean,
it'd be good.
Trainers race.
I actually think it's going to happen.
Do you?
Yeah,
I haven't heard any more.
I think
about
you'd
it.
fancy your chances, wouldn't you, George?
Oh yeah, definitely. I used
You would
to ride
take that
against-
blooming seriously.
I used to ride in point to points against Richard Spencer.
Fat Richard Spencer.
Yeah,
Richard Spencer's
he's
carrying
quite
about
good.
3 stone more than you now. He's got no chance.
Anyway, I had a nice call from Richard Spencer this morning saying, "Hi mate." I said, "Hi mate, you don't normally call me." "Oh, I'm taking 2 of your horses this morning." I said, "Oh, thanks Richard, that's great news for me to hear on a Friday morning." He said, "Yeah, what are they like?" And I said, "Well, one's 16.2. He goes, "God, I could ride it." I said, "It's not that big." And so Richard's a good friend. I used to ride in point to points a lot against Richard, and he was a bit of a sort of senior statesman. Had a lot more experience than me.
Could that race actually take place then? Do we think over Newmarket Open
Well,
weekend?
I'm chairman. I know that we're doing
You'd
Yeah,
like
but
to
you
put
won't
it
ride
together?
in it. You can't ride, can you?
the plan. And annoyingly, I can't ride in it.
Because you're too heavy.
No, nothing to do with that. If I was here, I would be riding.
Why? When is it?
It's for the Newmarket Open weekend.
Why? Where are you? You're chairman,
I know.
and you're not here.
No.
You're chair. Hang on, let me just get this right.
I'd like to
You're
know why
chairman
are you not
of
going
the
to be here that
Newmarket
weekend?
Open weekend.
Open weekend.
And I'm not going to be here for the Saturday.
Must
Why?
be something
Where are
bloody
you?
important.
My sister-in-law is getting married. Amazingly, she's decided the one weekend that I couldn't really do. So I'm
But
not.
why we can do it? Is that that we're going to do it on that
So
day?
they're going to do it on the Saturday
Oh, really?
on the water gallop, and we got permission from Nick. It's going to happen.
Yeah, but what's the weight? Okay, cool. Well,
We don't know all the weight stuff, but it is going to. I think it is going to happen.
And is that an open race, as
I-
in trainers from outside Newmarket, or just Newmarket trainers potentially?
it has to be just
think it
trainers. You can't.
Oh, no, it
have
won't be
people that
no
are
assistants or anything like that.
assistants
No,
or
no,
head
no.
lads or-
So who do we
Owners.
think could end up embarrassing themselves, or at least potentially
Someone like
embarrassing
Michael Bell would
themselves?
embarrass himself in that situation. I can see.
Hugo didn't do him any good in the
the
show jumping a while ago.
Hugo's
did
in
he?
the no, but at least he had a go.
He did have a go. Yeah.
I actually had a go. There was some good
Some
pictures. Of
rather embarrassing photos of George.
I would think.
Does your horse have any teeth after that?
Well, it's not my horse. I'm not sure. I would think there's a possibility that I'd be chalked up as favourite in a race like that, like just early doors, or not.
I disagree.
No,
entirely.
it'll be good though. Gay will be sort
I
of
hope Gay
chatting a load
wins.
of nonsense.
I'll be Team Gay.
She was the only female. If you didn't know, she's the only female rider to win a race at Royal Ascot.
Correct.
Which is very cool actually. And actually, to be fair, she's got a nice horse there, that Global Spectrum. Is it called Global Spectrum?
Yeah.
He won 3, and he beat all of us fair and square.
Yeah.
And won in Qatar, and fair play. It's great. Really good. Really good.
Well, I think on that note, we've probably, as you say, only our respective mums are now listening. So I think
Yeah.
it's probably time we called the first podcast toward its conclusion. And if we can all stand the sight of each other in another 2 weeks, we will reconvene. Until then, thank you for listening. George, Charlie, thank you. It's been fun.
Thanks. Cheers.
So that's that for episode 1 of the podcast. George and Charlie off the bridle. Just to say, it's not going to be us 3 for much of the season. It's going to be us 3 plus special guests. We will be joined by some pretty high-profile figures from the world of racing and beyond over the coming weeks and months. And also we will be wining and dining here again at the King's Head here in Dullingham, who have been fantastic hosts for episode 1. Podcast was produced by Carl Homer from Cambridge TV. Please give us a rating or leave us a review on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts. It'll help more people find the show. You can tweet us at Bridle Podcast with questions, suggestions, and we'll read out some of the good ones. And check out our tweets for show notes and links to the things we've talked about. We'll be back in 2 to 3 weeks. We hope you'll join us then. Goodbye.